You ever been 17, watched Evangelion for the first time, and thought, wonder what the hell that meant? Well, spoiler alert, there's no answer to that. But if you were left with a massive hole in your heart after finishing the show, and went on YouTube to find some answers, you'd be met with several dozen videos breaking down why Evangelion is a piece of media designed to combat escapist tendencies in other forms of media, specifically anime, highlighting the mixed media selection Hideki Anno selected for Evangelion to reflect upon the audience. And, that's pretty chill, but to be honest, Hideki Anno, bad. Evangelion, bad. The only thing I like about that show is Misto and her cool penguin, and Big Cross Go Boom, and art cool. You ever notice how everybody in that show just wants to bang their dead parent? And how Hideki Anno is really weirdly fixated on dead parents in general? That's a real fucking downer. But Misto is really hot. And just because she's hot doesn't mean I have a weird thing for older women or anything, nah. And those scenes from Instrumentality where Shinji sees her as a total slut aren't aligning at all with misogynistic Freudian concepts that are totally disproven by time and science. No! Jeez, man, I think I'm getting sidetracked. What was I talking about again? Oh, right. Shinji should have piped Misto. Stupid
female genitalia.
Shinji. Besides all the cool, weird sexual innuendo with parents, there's also that 3-hour-long scene of a still frame of an elevator with Rei and Asuka. Yeah, that was really fun to watch. Totally wasn't boring or anything. Thematically, though, I can't even really trash in the scene, because if it wasn't for that scene, I would never have gotten the ladder scene from MGS3. And the only reason I didn't throw my PlayStation controller through my cold cathode TV and then drink the yummy resin juice was because that theme song slapped, dog.
What a thrill.
I keep losing track of where I'm supposed to be. Alright, escapism. Well, Hibaka Anno, anime is an escapist. You know what's escapist? Video games are escapist. When I played Persona 5 for the first time, I didn't put my controller down for 15 hours straight. I also went into massive bouts of rage whenever my PlayStation controller had the audacity to tell me I had to fucking plug it in. When I finally did put it down, I went into a coma and then awoke in a general haze in what looked like upstate Vermont, attempting to beat the shit out of Anthony Fantano, screaming at the top of my lungs. Is this how I got my parents to send me to Tokyo so I can dating some cute student president, Sean, and spend all my expendable income I make from aimless part-time jobs on real-life replicas of handguns that I can bring into school? Are you an individual who's found themselves with a lot of time on their hands over the past few months? If not, congratulations on living in a country that believes in science. However, if you have found yourself in this position, it can be really easy to laze about in the same exact position for 14 hours straight and not moving at all. Despite our ancestors evolving so that we can run miles on miles on miles on end for food, now, microwave go burr, and mac and cheese is yummy. Anyway, this is a disorganized mess, so I guess I'll state my thesis now. These are two anime I really think do a great job of escaping escapism, as it were. Basically, telling you to get off your ass and do something. There's this scene in one of my favorite shows, Welcome to the NHK, which is about a hikikomori. Basically, a dude who lives quarantine mode 24/7, even when there aren't deadly diseases outside trying to kill you. It's basically this guy, he says he's read every self-help book in the world, and nothing ever helped him feel better. Dog, my advice to him would have been to watch the Tatami Galaxy, because that show fucking rules. I could break down that show in any number of ways, if I had effort. Unfortunately, I'm a lazy piece of shit, and this show is meant to be brain sugar, which basically means that I'm not willing to go back and do the effort. Because I watched every episode of that show until the last dude's out of my fucking mind. And even with that, 10 years of Japanese under my belt, not to brag, I barely could understand any of it, man, I'm not gonna lie. When Japanese moves that quickly, it's fucking hard to follow. And yeah, that's the biggest complaint about the show. Boo-hoo, subtitle hard. And you know what, you're right. And if you're anything like me, who paused every 10 seconds of Bakemonogatari intros because you can't read 16 kanji in 10 milliseconds, then you're in luck, dog. What I'm saying is, stop it. Because none of it matters. Literally none of it matters. Convenient nihilism's good, dog. Defensible points are bad, dog. I'm lazy, dog. That's not to say you can't take a lot from the dialogue. But also, just recognize that when Japanese is moving at the speed of a bullet train, it's more meant to be enjoyed as poetry, rather than for content itself. But in an effort to make the show more accessible, I'm gonna break down the main points of what he says in his rants, so that you can understand, and don't have to read the damn subtitles. Watashi, which literally translates into I in Japanese, so I'm just gonna refer to him as MC from here on out, wants a rosy-colored campus life, dog. That means he wants to join a club, and there's this dude named Ozu, who's always in those clubs. Ozu annoying. Ozu make MC a public nuisance. Jogasaki, Chad, like doll. MC, like Akashi. MC also likes 3 other women. One of those women, Chad Doll. Castella tasty. Yummy Castella. There's probably like a lot of little details that I could have included in that, but again, I'm gonna remind you, I don't remember very much of the first 10 episodes. My brain was mush, but you know, don't worry about it, dog. It doesn't matter. But just to simplify it further, the main point is the main character's always fucking irritated. Congratulations, you can now watch the Tatami Galaxy without pausing every 5 seconds or rant scenes. The real joy of the show for me comes in the last 2 episodes, where the main character is sitting in a room in a timeline where he's completely abandoned his school and club and is looking back on his life in dismay. This is an existential moment in the show, and honestly, it does it way better than Eva. So, again, Eva bad. But, more importantly, he's really looking at something. He's looking at himself. And honestly, upon watching this show, I was looking at myself too. Being on the end of my own rosy campus life. And looking back at it, I'm slightly dismayed. And it was really easy to lock myself in my room and not think about it. And yet, it felt like I had lost something. Ooh, what the hell just happened there? Felt like I just had a bit of a break. My bad. It's a golden time, yeah. It's about this dude who has like dissociative amnesia, which means he likes to bang girls. But like then he forgets that he likes to bang a certain girl and bangs a different girl. But then he stops dissociating and bangs the original girl again. This show though, dog. This show's unique. Unlike the 100 or so anime I'd watched like it before in the genre, much of which being harem or rom-com trash, this one actually felt real. I was taken aback by how real the characters were, how dimensional they were, how heartbreaking they were. That realism in the character writing really pulls you in and makes you unable to escape, weirdly enough. This inability to escape, like, forces a juxtaposition in your own shortcomings, in your own real life, in your own endeavors. Instead of being a simp for the entire series, this one's main character basically just cuts a girl off immediately when she kept holding on to him as a quote-unquote friend, which makes him an S-tier rom-com chat, only to have her fling herself at him and develop complete codependence, which puts them in the S-tier of psychologically unhealthy relationships. And I know that this is coming off as a joke, but somehow that toxicity and unhealthiness just has such a realistic undertone that every "aww" solicited feels earned and not just like some run-of-the-mill titty waifu trash fanservice. The fragility of psychology of each of these characters is so profound through the whole show. They fall apart much like real people would, and they're selfish and scared in such a human way that would normally be dismissed by the main character being a brick who loves being called baka 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 for 30 episodes straight with only slight irritation. I haven't really done any fundamental breakdowns of scenes like a typical video essay yet, so here's some deep analysis. The main romantic interest's name is Coco. In Japanese, that means here. He wants to live in the here and now. Carpe diem. Damn, that was deep, dog. Towards the end of the show, Bonri slowly recedes into himself, and at that point, he fights against his nature with all of his will. His whole world's crumbling around him. He literally can't know when his situation will change, and he feels completely out of control. And yet he fights for what he loves. No matter how toxic or fragile he is, he goes for what he wants. Oh, what the fuck, dog? Back to Tatami. Felt like I lost the last 3 minutes of my life. I don't know what the fuck just happened. Point is this. Tatami Galaxy ends with the main character remembering an element that had run through the entire show. A little bear Akashi had lost in every timeline that he seemingly was never able to return to her. Despite her clearly being the one he pined for, he was so focused on his rosy campus life that he couldn't name his passions. Escapist media. What does it mean? If you look at an anime and think, titty good, you're right. Titty not just good. Titty the foundation for society, dog. But if you think deeper, every anime is a call to action. If you're Eva, that is speaking out against escapism. And also just being so damn confusing that people will decide that you're good for no apparent fucking reason. But if you're Tatami Galaxy, that means you're gonna do something in a dramatic way. Let's say from simplicity's sake. Directly from the story, you run to the top of a bridge in cross-dress attire because you're so goddamn true to yourself and your nature. Or if you're me, writing this script, saying I really want to talk about how these pieces of media made me feel as thinly veiled video essays that are ostensibly a collage of posts. The point is, anime isn't all escapist in purpose. Some of it tells you to shoot for what you love, even if the world's collapsing around you, or you've been holding back on taking up a passion that you've been waiting on, that's been in front of your eyes for the longest time, but you just never managed to get around to it. Go out and enjoy your day in whatever way you can, because the world may be at complete odds with letting you enjoy it. But find a passion that you might have been holding back on for the longest time, or never thought you could do before, and fucking do it, dog.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Something you're gonna wake up and work hard at. Nothing is impossible. Anyone else will quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! Stop giving up.
Oh,